sitting here thinking about, me and my wife was having a conversation, and we don't often see eye to eye on everything because she's still kind of living in what I think of is the big play, the big trick bag. She likes to live in it a little bit more than I do, which is not right or wrong. It isn't about that, but to give her a little bit more understanding of why I chose and still choose to think the way that I do, it's because, see, the other way I lived, I was always reacting to something. I went to work because I had a bill. Fucking whatever it is. I decided to get my head right and get off opiates because I have kids. Like, it was never a decision that I made ever that I could think of that was really thought out. I was just always reacting to everything. And what learning all this has taught me is that everything in my mind is like, if it has anything to do with money, and everything does, it's a trick. It's a trick. They're trying to allure you to give in some more of your currency. Currency. What is current? It's a current, like electrical current. It's energy. Currency. That's why it's called currency. Okay? We don't study the words we use a lot. But I have studied some of them, and that's one of them. And currency used to be a representation of our past energy. You go to work, you paid some gold, or you had some property, something physical, which is still, energy. It's just like, but anyways, I can get off topic. That is what gold used to be and money used to be. Now what money is an IOU. So money now is somebody's got to pay it later. So when you look at that national debt, I always wondered that because I never understood why or how we had this national debt. Like, I could understand how it would work in this country, how debt could work in this country the way that we're raised to think that is. Hold on, he's coming back. I got nothing on me. But anyways, I can understand why they look at why we were taught debt was the way it is. But I now know that debt isn't what we were taught that it was. Debt is a promise to pay later, okay? So what that means is, I bet he can't hold that SUV and run that curve as fast as I fucking can. This Lincoln, goddammit. He had to turn around and I was already around the hill. The only problem is it's fixing to get real straight and he's got a radio. I gotta slow down. Alright, so county line, motherfucker, county line. I hate it. I hate what cops are. They're goddamn pirates. And when you motherfuckers that want to act like I'm crazy and have never looked into it, if you looked into it and you understand the law the way everybody's taught you the law is, then fine. But I understand it in a different way, okay? Alright, so I'm getting pulled into my driveway. It's going to go across the Carroll County Intercounty line. I am rolling too, boy. So he sped up if I can see him. It wasn't a Henry County cop. That would suck. Alright, so listen. I don't need to get pulled over. One, never mind. It don't matter. Alright. Currency. Debt. This is what it is, guys. Let me make this really sharp curve. Make a sharp ass curve and get down the way. Go, baby, go, 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 go. Alright, let me go really clear. Anyways, alright, so money is debt currency. It's a promise to pay. It seems to be a bill that we're so far in behind that every bit of our taxes just go to the percentage of interest. That means every bit of the American people, the United States people's taxes, and the corporations' taxes that operate in the United States doesn't even go to the principal. It is strictly profit for the IRS, or the Federal Reserve, rather. The IRS is a different thing that they hired to, or we hired, somebody fucking hired them. They're just all corporations. They're not government like you think, like you're led to believe. Okay, the only authority. Listen, it's all about allowance. Anyways, debt currency. It's a promise to pay. It's a promise of potential. It's a promise to pledge your land and your labor, everything you own, your property, period, your children, your future children. You're pledging your grandchildren if your children never change anything. Okay? My parents didn't do it because their parents did. Their parents pledged their basically bloodline that's coming and all their labor and potential to this debt in this country. Okay? That's what it is to be a U.S. citizen. That's not American. Okay? A lot of times you are both, but you don't have to be both. A Native American is not always a United States citizen. An Amish person, they're not United States citizens, or they used to not be. They lived in the private, solely in the private. They grew their own food. They had their own laws. They had their own courts and ways they handled things. And that is what America was supposed to be. But what has happened is a whole fucking group of fucking bankers got together and bought this motherfucker, essentially. But they didn't buy it outright. They took power of attorney, and they're like this. Say there's a rich guy out there, right? He's a fucking great guy, right? He's rich. He has all this wealth. But he had a shithead fucking brother. A fucking spiteful fucking asshole brother. And the dad died. And the kids were like 5. So they couldn't take care of themselves. So the brother gets power of attorney over the state until the kid can take care of themselves, right? Okay, that's what the government is now. It's not the original republic. It's the democracy that basically is owned by corporations now, it seems like, because they don't all seem to be bad. I don't like that blanketing terms of this is this, police are bad, government's bad. I don't think that. I think that a lot of them have tried to tell people for years, and we're too fucking brainwashed to fucking see it, because most people can't afford private schools, and public education is paid for by, yes, this corporate entity that is the United States government, okay? And they're like a hybrid. They're like a little of both. But the allegiance you think they have is not the way it works. The power, the potential, the money is only backed as far as we can back it. If we keep losing all of our wealth and we just turn into fucking slaves agreeing to anything, well, then, you know, we will be. We already are. We already are. You've been taught your whole life, if you're in the United States, and some places, parts of the United States are probably worse than where we're from. We've been taught our whole lives to believe that slavery is black people in chains. And I'm not, I believe it happened. I'm not saying it didn't. But why aren't we taught to look at black people having, black people in chains? Or why ain't we don't even really look at the amount of Asian or Irish people that were fucking enslaved over here. Or the Native Americans. We don't really look at them either. Why are we taught that slaves are this one thing? Well, I'll tell you why. Because when they abolished slavery, they abolished the word slavery. And you can ask anybody that lived through the Jim Crow era, if there's any alive still. It was bullshit. It was worse in a lot of ways. Because the Constitution, as great as it is, left a clause in there that said that any living free man can contract with whomever he pleases. And if that contract says that you got to do all this shit and I'll let you live on my property and feed you, but everything else is your labor, and you've already been raised up in slavery, do you think you're really going to be able to get out of that very easily? No. Dude, nothing changed with slavery. It's a fucking ploy to get everybody into it. They don't give a fuck about black or white. It's you're worth it or you're not. You've looked into this shit or you're not. It's not like we're led to believe, guys. It's always an extreme one way or the other. It's always like you're either this or you're a piece of shit. It's been like that since I was a kid. They used to pull people out of their houses and lock them up and shit if they were goddamn communists. And now everybody's like basically communist. Our country is ran by Democrats, which is a part of communism. Okay? And I ain't talking about Democrat. They're all working under a democratic system right now, because the system that we're operating under is not the common law system. It's a commercial system. It may as well be a board of directors up there. And when you go up there, you're not going up there as a real live person. You're going up there as your name. You're taking the place of a corporate entity. If you really knew the game, if you got in trouble and you wasn't really hurting people, if it was speeding tickets or not paying taxes or some kind of fucking non-victim crime, you wouldn't even fucking go to court. You wouldn't even fucking show up to that shit. I'll tell you how you know. A real judge doesn't pay taxes. It's in the fucking books, baby. Look up. Just keep looking back far enough before it get out of the UCC. The UCC was created by Congress. Okay? The UCC and our judges, maybe family court might be under the other. They're like both. They wear different hats, just as I do and just as you do when you live on a private and a public side. You're not taught the private side and the difference in school, because the people running shit, if Walmart was trying to teach you to be the best goddamn customer they could teach you to be, you think they're going to fucking teach you how to shop right, or how to fucking, you think they're going to teach you their tricks? You think they're going to tell you that putting all this bright wrapping up at the aisle is going to entice you to buy stuff more while you're waiting in line? These people have been... That's all any of this is a bunch of goddamn different Walmart type places. Just a bunch of different corporations with their own little tricks and tactics to get our future. They already have our property. They own your property. If it's titled to the government, if you have a title on your car, a title on your land, or a deed on your land, or a mortgage, or anything like that, it is already theirs. They're after your labor and your kids and their labor and potential and what they make. If I create some awesome fucking energy machine, I'd probably be disappeared. But they would more than likely take it from me and take away my ability to patent, not because they can, but because I'm a citizen. They would. If I was a private person and I didn't use their benefits, they would have no right. But because I take their benefits and you take their benefits, When you become a citizen, you give up your right to travel and drive around without tags and be free, because you're agreeing to have a privilege now of driving. I have a right to drive and travel around as I please without being taxed or having to have a title of nobility. All this shit was our original laws, and they're still in there. The only difference is we contracted out of it with the government to be under this code of law. Well, nobody usually does this consciously. So when you learn, like many contracts, if you're duped into something, you can get out of it, but only if you know. Only if you know. And most people don't know. I didn't know. Now that you can get out of it, you should. But you can't just jump like I did with my license. You gotta learn it. Understand that, when I first realized it and it clicked what it was, I'm like, I'm getting everything that is one of their things off of me. I'm locking up my social security card, first of all. My birth certificates, I went and got a few of them because they're very valuable documents. They're like bonds or like deeds themselves to your name, the proof that you were born. Anyways, it's not that these people are bad. They think this is how it's supposed to be. They think that we've all been told that this is the best way to live. But everybody's got something that speaks to them that's like, that ain't right. Everybody's got something that they don't agree with. And they might not agree with this, but you got something you don't agree with. And somewhere deep down in your soul that it's wrong. So if you've lived a good life and you've always had plenty and you've never been in trouble with the law or had anybody that has, you probably would think most of this is ridiculous. If you're a cop or you're a lawyer that works on that side of things, you're probably like, this is the most ridiculous shit I've ever heard in my life. But anybody who wants to challenge any of it, challenge it. Tell me where I'm wrong. I'd love to see it. If I had a reason to look up that exact place I found it, I assure you it would have a UCC code, or it would be in the Constitution or the state constitutions. I've learned a lot of stuff these last few years, and a lot of people think that I got all kind of a little crazy, I guess, about it, maybe, or I still am a little crazy with it, but it's not that I'm crazy with it. It's just that I think that if everybody knew, the world would be a better place. Like, for instance, I didn't know the way money worked. If I would have known the way money worked, I would have been a young businessman. I wouldn't have been out fucking feeling hopeless like the world fucking sucks and on drugs and robbing people or doing whatever I'm doing. Not like people, but like stores, like stealing from stores or something. Like we're all in this together. We gotta have ditch diggers. It isn't about not doing work or anything. I work my butt off still. I like my life better now because I feel like I have say-so again. If you've ever had your fucking say-so taken from you, especially after you kind of been a grown-up for a little bit, it sucks, man. It sucks to feel like you're stuck at a job and there ain't nothing you can do because you can't lose your job. You got to pay your rent. And then somebody telling you got to leave a place that you've been for a while or whatever. It sucks. Even though, whether it's justified or not, man, Like, if you've never not had a home, it fucking sucks. It fucking sucks. If you've grown up and your parents have always had land and it was easy for you to get land, and not saying that you didn't work or earn it, just saying that you don't know. You can't know. If you never seen it done, you might not have done it either, you know. We like to judge each other for the differences we have, and we shouldn't do that because you can't really know. But a bank will take a house from somebody. When we were, me and Trevania, and I had a friend that co-signed for me, because by the time we turned 18, we done had like 10 cable bills and shit put in our name. Our credit was already fucked a lot of times, and it seemed like a good idea to go get a $500 loan, you know, when you don't have any money and you've been fucking without for so long. It's like, fuck it. Doesn't matter what I do, because every time I get ahead, it gets back. So we buy a house and we think we're hot shit. And wait, I'm working at Dana. She's working at the doctor's office. You know, that's what it's supposed to be, right? And then get a little behind here, lose a job here. Bank took our house. Well, Mr. What's-His-Face got paid for this house, right? So that bank, well, they took that house and sold it to somebody else. So the only one that ever had any interest got paid, because he got paid from the bank. Okay. Well, so the bank's got to get their money, right? Okay, fair enough. They sell it to somebody, and they pay on it for 20 years. Well, if you just consider interest and stuff, they probably doubled their money. Well, then they happen to lose it. Then what happens? Bank gets it, right? Sells it. By now, the house is worth 3 times as much as it was when Churchwell had it. Then, what happens? Well, that bank, it gets the house and it sells it again. So now it's done tripled the profit in the 20 years dude had it, and then doubled and tripled its money up. This is supposed to be private property. How do the banks keep winning in private property? And they would say, well, it's their choice to get the loan. Which is kind of ridiculous if you think about the way everything's ran. Each time it squeezes more and more of our labor out, that loan does. And it ain't even ours. It's the future. The next ones, the next ones, the next ones. By the time it's all said and done, the house could have been paid for 3 or 4 times. Sold to somebody else that's private, and then hawked back off to the banks. They already own it. All the taxes being paid on it. Think about it. Do what compels you.